Good morning. I have a very simple message for you today. Here it is. If you don't like how people treat you, you should probably check how you treat people. That's it. I'm kidding. Now, if you're still a bit fuzzy on what I'm driving at, let me tell you a story. A baker had been buying a kilo of butter from a farmer every day for many months. One day he decided to weigh his purchase. That was when he realized that the butter he had been buying all this time was not quite up to the kilo he had been paying for. He was furious. He dragged the farmer to court. Now the judge was outraged. "Mr. Farmer, don't you have a measure for your butter?" "No, my lord, I just have some balancing scales," replied the farmer. "Wait, so how could you tell whether or not you were selling a kilo of butter to the baker?" The judge asked in irritation. The farmer spread his hands and said, "Well, my lord, every day I buy a kilo loaf of bread from the baker. So I put that on my scale and give him the same weight in butter." Now, this story came to mind because a friend of mine, who I sometimes meet with for lunch, commented on how waiters and waitresses often seem to treat me extra nice. I said, well, perhaps it's because I am nice to them. You know, I look them in the eye when I talk to them. I smile. I ask them their names before I order. I say please and thank you, just like my mother taught me. I don't say, "I want this" or "give me that." I don't embarrass them when they make mistakes. I thank them for their service, and if I can afford it, I leave them a tip. Now, not just because they handle my food, but I treat a waiter with the same dignity and respect I would give to a minister of state. Because dignity is not the sole right of the privileged in society. Most importantly, though, I treat people the way they wish to be treated, so that people will treat me the way I wish to be treated. Now, I don't know who's treating you badly, my dear friend, but do you know who you are treating badly? When a shop assistant is rude to you, do you wonder who raised her? Or do you consider how you speak to your subordinates in the office? When you don't get selected for a promotion, do you wonder why people won't just give you a chance? Or do you link it to that person whose progress you held back just to prove your power over them? When a man breaks your heart and leaves you disappointed, do you lambast all men for having the same mother? Or do you think of the number of men whose hearts you have broken by leading them on with false hope and expectations? When you're trying to switch lanes in traffic and the cars won't let you through, do you wonder why people can't just show a little bit of common decency to their fellow man? Or do you remember the hundreds of times that you have pretended not to even see when someone has tried to squeeze in ahead of you in a traffic jam? In this universe, everything is about balance. You get from life what you put in. So if you don't like what you're getting, change what you're giving. And start today. My name is Kojo Yangsen, and I want the best. That's why I give the best. Good morning, Ghanafu.
Thanks to Kojo Yangsen for the morning message. Is back tomorrow for another message of motivation. Let's settle now for the AM News. Flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, says the party has no problem with the New Patriotic Party government rolling out some of their manifesto policies, saying it is an endorsement of the People's Manifesto. Mr. Mahama points to the legalization of the use of motorbikes for commercial passenger transport as one of the promises government claims to be working on. Speaking at the NDC's town hall in the Ashanti regional capital on Tuesday, he said he remains expectant that Ghanaians will vote the NDC to implement its ideas.
People's Manifesto. If you say deeper there, more and your person is some more. And more and I was so much saying, Niamo person, ye mamma, ye ne Okada for some manifesto, more and I'm the Mayan. I'm Sabra, Yashasino. Yakase, ye People's Manifesto. If you say deeper there, more and your person is some more. And more and I was so much saying, Niamo pese ye mam ye ne Okada for shiai ye ne Afita for shiai ye say nyina na ye nuanom say oh NDC munni adwen amode tro manifesto enti mo ko nipa no ho akogye adwen abetro mo manifesto yeso enye hwe e bi say nipa na ye ko mo ho no omo ene pese ye som omo Omo ene di tumi no ebema yen. Enti nia omo pese nia omo pe no eno na wo se ebeye ma omo. Enti se onhu manifesto ya eya adwen a Ghana fo a yehia omo nyina omo de maaye ena ye de ato manifesto yi mo. Na ye ka se ye ma nipa ketewa bi enkotena se embo mo adwemu entro manifesto ma Ghana fo. Ebi se Ghana fo ehu ne hia ni omo pe ena ndis beba be ya ma omo. Na enne ya tro manifesto ye wie yi enyoma ya tro egumo no enne obeti a ye say oh okada fo mpo ye dwen ho eche na ya dwen se ye besesa mra no na already ya dwen se ye besesa mra no se ne be ya ye betimi ama omo aye adwuma ese yo enye hwe.
Now, residents of Santase in the Kumasi metropolis have staged a demonstration over the poor nature of their road, saying it will be a key factor in deciding who to vote for in the upcoming elections. To register their disappointment, the residents on Tuesday blocked the roads, which have deteriorated further with the onset of the rains. Some of them spoke with Joy News.
They will come here and promise, oh, the next day they are coming. 2016, we were here. A day before the election, we saw them bringing machineries, they brought bulldozers, they started constructing the road. Immediately after the election, we never saw them again. Last 3 months, we heard that the road has been awarded to somebody. As of today, we don't know which contractor is on the road.
At the moment, I was meant to be at work. I'm standing here, and I support this demonstration. I support it 100%. If they don't come and sort out and fix our roads, it's the same tax that I'm going to work for them to pay. Now, I say a road of a year of roads. Yeah,
how could you construct a road without gutters? Constructing a road without gutters, how is it possible? He did this road just 6 months, the road just destroyed. And your friends, the present government came in, MPP government came in, and the same contractor, they awarded the road to him again. Why are you joking? You don't know. So we are just pleading to the government that it should come to our aid, construct a road for us. We will vote. You can't say we won't vote. As a good citizen, you have to vote.
Is that we are begging Nana Akufo that you can't go enter Patasi Road, you can't go enter Ahojo, you can't go enter Denyame and leave the citizen here in a place. See our road. See our road. Have you seen it? Yes. You go enter Patase, you go enter Ahojo, you go enter Denyame, you go enter wherever the goods, all the roads are good. Yes. But our roads is not good.
But you fix it again.
You go and fix it again. Whilst our own is doing rough, please, Nanado, do something for us. Always we change our time. Please, we beg you. Yeah. We beg you.
Now, DC, MC, no my yes, but my terminated contract no. Every big is yansam. It is so much terminated contract. Oh my unu da contract over the money for from. Amana by Yakwana day. Am I? And yes, I see no road, no vote. Yes.
Now, on Joy News Agenda today, we tell you how a 35-year-old school owner is struggling to get by as the school she established some 3 years ago has been shut down due to COVID-19. She quit her regular job with a cocoa marketing company to establish that school. But 3 years on, Nazifatu Ibrahim has had to shut down that school, obviously because of the pandemic. There's more in this report filed by Mohammed Nuruddin.
My name is Nazifatu Ibrahim. I'm 35 years old. I'm the proprietor of Nazi's Early Childhood Education Center, and I have about 120 kids in the school.
It is just another day in the home of Nazifatu Ibrahim At this time of the morning, she should have been packing up and heading to the school she runs, but she cannot do that now. Her school and livelihood is shut.
Mostly, I think of my teachers, because looking at how things are going, by the time school reopens, we will lose most of our teachers. Being self-employed is not a bad thing, but when you are hit by a crisis and you don't have anybody to depend on, it's really difficult. So let's hope things get better soon.
3 years ago, Nazifatu, a first degree holder, resigned from her job with a cocoa marketing company to establish a school.
When I started, it wasn't all that easy, because working and going to school and being a mother at the same time, it wasn't easy. So a friend of mine encouraged me that why don't we start a school so that I can quit my job, and then since I'm doing education, I can blend it with the schooling and then the education whilst not working in the cocoa company. That will help me in the education more than working in the cocoa company and the same going to school, because I was offering different courses and it was confusing.
Nazifatu says she had wished she was still employed by someone else due to the financial burden that came with COVID-19 outbreak.
So I had a diploma, so if I was in the public sector, at least I'll be getting something from the government, my salary at the end of every month. I wasn't there. Although I have established my school, I wish I was in the public sector too. Maybe I could have employed somebody to be taking care of the school and working in the public sector as well.
This is Nazifatu Early Childhood Education Center, where she was grooming children to become responsible and smart future leaders. But she would have to wait till 2021 to be able to run her school again. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
Now, from 2007, Araba Kumsing has risen through the ranks in a highly challenging newsroom environment to become editor. But her journey hasn't been a jolly ride, breaking many stereotypes about women in journalism. In a series of stories looking at Joy News' longest-serving journalist as part of our 25th anniversary, my colleague Justice Bedo tells the Araba Kumsing story.
Araba Kumsing, 14 years, anchoring, reporting from Parliament and on the ground for Joy News.
How the reception area has changed. 14 years, wow, what a transformation. I walked in with trepidation because I didn't know what to expect. This was Joy FM. I was scared. Because I was coming to face what I'd call giants.
In a country where few women make it in this job, hers has been a fascinating story of dreams. So what has changed about the Joy News journalism over the years that she has been here?
We hadn't had technology developed at the point that we have right now. So we were using, tape recorders at the time. We're using a tiny record. They weren't this tiny. I'm sure I think they were this big. It was bulky sometimes. It was even a challenge sometimes, because sometimes you'd want to interview somebody, but because of the bulkiness of the recorder, it puts people off and they wouldn't want to record. So at the time, we're using recorders like that.
Araba wants many other young women to come after her, walking in the footprints that she hopes to leave behind someday.
My position is that you shouldn't always look back. You should always, face forward, because, there are new opportunities that come every day. I don't think a lot of organizations can boast of being around for 25 years and thriving. The personnel here can compete with anyone across the world, globally. And so I can only say the future is bright for multimedia heading into the next 25 years.
But until that moment comes, it is going to be her silky voice and firm journalism, broadcasting on radio, online, and on TV from Fanofa Street here in Accra.
And now you know the Araba Kumsin story is part of our 25th anniversary. We're sharing stories with some of our longest serving journalists. And that's it for the AM News. We've got the newspaper review. There's plenty to share with you in terms of what making round. Up next, my colleague Joseph Akable will join me as we do the review. Stay with us. Time for us to do the newspaper review. Joseph Akable is here. We've got the papers. But we have a new conversation here on Joy News. It's called The Exits.
Yes, it's an amazing new program.
Yes.
If I could put it that way, that is coming up featuring you. I saw that amazing promo. I don't know whether our viewers have seen it. I didn't know that you could bring out a lot of people that way. I mean, a lot out of them that way. The way you did with Inusa Fuseni.
Yep.
You got him to do push-ups and do some exercise and everything.
Listen, if you haven't seen that promotion yet, that conversation is coming up this weekend. So let's just give you a little reminder of what we're talking about.
He announced his retirement after spending 14 years representing the people of Tamale Central constituency. On The Exit, we hear the story of Inusa Abdullahi Bistav Fuseni.
My story is a comedy of errors.
And there are a few controversies to clear up too.
Are you also still being investigated for taking double salary as MP and minister then?
I never took double salary.
And then you know those memories that never go away.
Yes, so even delegate cartooned me. That was the time that they believed that they cartooned me being put in a dustbin.
In 2010, Mr. Fuseni lost his wife.
She invested and reposed a lot of trust in the police hospital. When it was time for them to show her love, they left her on a bench to die.
And what does he make of the parliament he's leaving behind?
Committees engaging in supervisory jurisdiction of parliament in ways that clearly shows that they are interested in some gains.
And at 58, he's got an incredible stamina too.
Just when you jump out of the bed, straight away.
Having been under the leadership of 4 different speakers of parliament, he has got a favorite.
My favorite clearly is...
Don't miss The Exit with Mamavi Osu Abuaje on Joy News.
One of the questions I got, Joseph, who the favorite is, and people are guessing. Did I tell you? Maybe.
Yeah. I think you did.
But if I had not, you would have guessed wrong.
Certainly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have got it right. And I mean, those who want to know, they should tune in Saturday and Sunday.
Exactly.
You get the answer. I'm not telling you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's jump straight into the newspapers. So you can, watch out for those MPs who have served really long, who aren't going back to Parliament. They've kind of retired as MPs. You can retire, yes. That's what they've done. We're sharing their stories with you here on Joy News. Let's do the newspapers. I've got the Daily Graphic, the Times, the Publisher, Custodian. We see the Daily Guide, the BNFT. Joseph would begin with the Daily Guide newspaper.
The front page of the Daily Guide has the story from the ECOWAS event yesterday. Mali coup leaders storm Ghana, and it has a photograph of President Akufo-Addo meeting a gentleman who is in a military-styled attire, with some strange-looking mask on his face. It was quite an interesting image for me yesterday. The coup leaders coming to Ghana to have talks.
We were told they had to go back to their hotel to change.
Oh,
something like that. I'm not
see.
sure it was such a controversy.
I see. Interesting. Ignore Okada propaganda. Parties beg EC to reduce 100,000 fees, also on the front page. And flower truck crashes 2 buses, 14 perish. Another story on the front page of the Daily Guide. Very sad story there. We brought to you those details yesterday. And African football gives to Fortunes Academy. Spurs ahead of Man U for Bale's signature. And player fights fan after loss. Also on the back page of the Daily Guide. We can do the front page of the Dispatch, the Daily Dispatch. It has a rejoinder 2020 press filing fee of 100,000 cedis. And in 2016, apart from Akufo-Addo and Mahama, the 5 others got a total of 1.8% of the votes cast. Okay. So Ghana is officially a 2-party state, I guess. And EC defends filing fees for 2020 elections, and obviously those who get a 1.8% are the ones who are complaining.
Because they won't get a refund.
Because if you perform well, you know you get a refund. Hey, this is very unfair.
No, I mean I think it's just to...
Those who don't perform well, they don't have their financial muscle. They have to struggle and get 100,000, and they don't get it back.
If you don't perform significantly well, what's the point in being on the ballot?
In simple terms, we are saying that they don't have any business contesting.
I mean, that's the reality. Seriously, I get the whole democracy thing that you've been preaching since Monday, I think, on this issue. But the reality is this. Would you invest in an area where you can't make your money back?
I wouldn't. I mean, and I think the argument has been made that those political parties, they need to concentrate on the parliamentary level. And because in times past, the CPP used to have seats, at least they had Jomoro in the Western region, they used to have Elembele too. I mean, same with the PNC, they had seats up north, but now the parties don't have any seats anymore. I mean, so it begs the question why they are not concentrating in those areas. That's where they should be putting their funds to try and get some seats in there, in specific areas where you know that it's easy for the party to win. Then afterwards, you can look at the presidency. But
yeah.
I mean,
but the General Secretary of the NDC makes a good argument on PM Express with a suggestion so that the EC will allow them to do a lot of the activities that they do prior to the main election, in terms of, you know, they supervise their internal party elections. They can do that pro bono, so they can save all those monies towards this. It's not a bad idea. But they're also calling for an IPAC meeting to discuss the amount that has come in terms of the filing fee. The Electoral Commission wants them to write to them.
But the question really is what does the EC need 100,000 cedis for? Do we know? Because the EC is a public funded body, so it means that if they need papers to register the individuals, the state allocates funds for them. In fact, they draw up a budget which they take to Parliament. There's a special committee that deals with it and approves it. And so it begs the question, there's not a body that you say you are cash strapped. If that is the argument, they should put it forward for us. I mean, because they are saying that they are going to refund it. The idea is that if you perform well, it's given back to you.
Exactly.
So it's not really a case that they want to raise some funds.
No, I'm not sure they've said it's because they don't have enough funds. But can you imagine if it was so easy for everybody to afford, if it was, I want to say cheap, but I'm not saying cheap because I can't find another word.
I personally see nothing.
Can you imagine a ballot paper with
I saw one in, I think, Nigeria or so. It's a long...
Yeah, but is that reasonable? When you know that most of them, like 90% of all the names and the parties on the paper, I mean, they're just there for being there, for the sake of being there. Well, because they're allowed to be there.
There are ways of taking some of them out. One, the requirement for a political party is that you should have presence across the country. And so that could be a way of taking out some of the people on the front pages. There's one in front of you. Don't mention it, but there's one there. We can do the front page of the Daily Dispatch now. Okay, so I told you about the 1.8% story and the EC defending one. So let's see if we can do the back page. It also has the story about the filing fee on the back page of the Dispatch. Let me quickly wrap up with the Finder and the Ghanaian Observer. Then Mama V comes in. The Finder has President Akufo-Addo wants an end to the Malian political crisis, and EC should generate future voters register from the National Identification Authority. And Zipline delivers 162,017 critical life-saving medicines / blood to 961 health facilities. That is it for the Finder. The final one for me will be the Ghanaian Observer. A truth stance, it says, observing Ghana in truth. A vote for John Mahama will reverse Ghana's fortunes, is coming from Dr. Abdul Hamid. And Mahama is an impediment to youth development. And Akufo-Addo lauds the GEXIM Bank leadership. And VIP commissions 56.7 million liquid bulk terminal at Takoradi Port. And Akufo-Addo fights for peace in Mali, also on the front page of the Ghanaian Observer. The back page has a story about Gary Neville sings praises for Tariq Lamptey. He is a player. He was in action for Chelsea against Brighton over, I think, on Monday, and there are already calls for the Ghanaian FA to ensure that they get him to come and play for Ghana. But Party speaks about Ghana deputy captaincy role also there, and Messi top of Forbes money list in 2020. That's our captain who wanted to run away. Mama V.
Let's do the Daily Graphic newspaper front page. Hand over to civilian governments. ECOWAS leaders urge Mali junta. That's something that got the international community also talking because, of course, as chair of ECOWAS, this was our president's first major task. And we hosted all these personalities in our country. The inserts there's that of President Akufo-Addo addressing the ECOWAS meeting with him, Mr. Goodluck Jonathan, who is mediating this whole process, and also the president of the ECOWAS Commission. So the highest decision-making body of the Economic Community of West African States has urged the military junta in Mali to within days hand over to a civilian administration to steer the transitional process to restore constitutional rule in that country. The chairman of the ECOWAS heads of states and government, President Akufo-Addo, said immediately the military junta handed over to civilian body to steer the process, ECOWAS would lift the sanctions it had imposed on Mali. I listened to the analysis, international experts, Vladimir Nchidanso and also Dr. Kwesi Enin. It looks like this is not, like a straightforward issue. It's not as simple as this, we've seen in the deadlines that's been given. Well, we're told that the military representatives who came to that meeting indicated they had to go back to Mali and then, get a response. They have to refer and come back to the table. But Mr. Goodluck Jonathan, the former Nigerian president who's mediating, the mediator in this, would give feedback after a week to the ECOWAS body. So there's a lot more to still expect on this. It's not over yet. Parties express mixed views over filing fees. We've been talking about it. Telcos reduce telecommunication service tax. I got a text message from my service provider, and they had announced, I think on the 12th of September, that effective 15th of September, they were going to reduce the communication service tax from 9% to 5%, and that your talk time and data purchases will reflect the tax reduction. I'm trying to monitor to see how I would know that something has changed and I'm either getting more talk time or more data, or I'm not sure. How do you check that?
It's very difficult unless there are some apps that you're able to download that monitors the data you are using, and so that would be the most effective way. But generally, people hold a view that data runs very fast here in Ghana, especially because of the fact that they are actually not stable in every part of the country. There are places, sometimes even at home, there are parts of the building that when you go into, it moves from LTE to something else, and eventually it comes back, maybe 3G, and comes back in between. And so, once the reduction is going to be effected, we expect that it will last a bit longer. I think the good thing about the recent changes to the data issue was the non-expiration thing that was brought in, because it used to be a very big issue. When you buy a lot of it and you're unable to use it, then it also just runs.
But honestly, Joseph, I think sometimes we talk and we make noise. The thing doesn't expire, but when your credit runs out, it runs out anyway. So what's the point?
Yeah, that's true.
On page 20, this is good news, and this is actually a major twist, and some people are attributing it to the upcoming elections because it's getting really heated. I'm talking about the fact that all customers of the collapsed financial institutions are to receive cash as settlement for their deposits that were locked up in the defunct institutions. This is because the government has converted the bonds that were initially used to cover parts of the deposit of some customers to the collapsed financial institutions into cash and paid same to the deposited. This means that unlike previously, when some of the customers were to receive 5-year non-interest bearing bonds as part payments for their deposits, all customers affected by the banking sector cleanup would now receive cash. This is good news, but it's not just again, as simple. I know people who have had to travel from different parts just to receive their monies in bits. And sometimes if I did like a joint account with you, Joseph, and you are like in Kumasi and I'm in Accra, each time we get the call, we both have to go together. So it's a lot of inconvenience, but we know where we have come from. It's you can say that it's not the regulator's fault. Okay, no, let me not say it's not the regulator's fault immediately. Let me just say that you will have to go through some inconveniences, but the good news is at least you get your money back.
Yes,
except that it's a lot of inconvenience.
Yes, and it's good that they are ensuring that everyone gets his money. There's this story, very worrying story from yesterday's accident where 14 people died. You know, this morning, late last night actually, there was another accident at this time around the Gumwa area. 5 people died on the spot. It was a head-on collision. We actually heard from an eyewitness, someone who was actually in one of the cars. And he said while they were moving, they saw a vehicle trying to overtake another vehicle. So it came into their lane and just ran into them quickly. And so it's another unfortunate incident. So it means that within 48 hours, we've lost 19 people to road accident, and very sad.
You know, it's just that statistics. Can we move away from the numbers? Like, when would we begin to see that all the talk, the plenty talk, is actually resulting in something on the ground, like something real? So, for instance, I see trucks that have overloaded, okay? But if you drive on a long stretch like Accra to Kumasi, you'd find that there are various checkpoints on the road.
Yeah, they make it true.
So how do they get past all these checkpoints? You know, like something isn't right.
It's a whole, it's a broad problem with lots of angles to it. We all use the road. We see how some of their drivers drive on the road. Drivers who switch lanes without using a traffic indicator, they just switch lanes. There are people who are needlessly speeding. And it's worrying sometimes because you wonder where they are heading to. And like we've been saying for Arrive Alive campaign, it's better to arrive late than to not arrive at all.
Yeah.
So when you want to get somewhere early, it only makes sense that you set off on time. If you know that you need 3 hours to make the journey, make sure you set off and get there within 3 hours at the time that you want to. You don't set off an hour late and you try to make up by moving at a neck break speed and dodging cars and moving in between like it's some video game that they are playing. These are human lives.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's very unfortunate that these things keep happening. And the point you keep making also, it's forced at the doorstep of law enforcement agencies. Their aspect is there. We have licensing authorities that give licenses to cars that are not roadworthy. In terms of the roadworthy license certificates, those ones are also there. You also have drivers that are reckless. You have passengers that are also impatient and shouting at drivers to move fast, And when people are even complaining, I remember some years back, I was in a car, the driver was speeding, I was complaining, and it was as though I was the only crazy person in the car. Yes, they were telling me that, I mean, this is normal. I saw it on Kokra. That's what they're saying to me.
Yeah. And we have a National Road Safety, it used to be a commission, it's now an authority. Yeah. What's the difference that we're seeing with the upgrade, for instance? Yeah. I mean, it's not enough to, and yesterday, and I appreciate what they do because they said they've heard different stories, different eyewitness accounts, stories from the drivers that survived the incident and some of the passengers as well, and they're going to reenact and ensure that it doesn't happen again. But I guess because it's not just them, there are different bodies. So you talked about the police, for instance. There are different actors that come together. But we need to find, because you can't have an accident, look at the impacts.
Yeah.
And this is the STC from the accounts that we've heard. This is the bus that actually noticed. He saw it and he tried to avoid it. That's why you don't see so much damage if you compare the STC to the other bus that we see. This, can you imagine, Joseph? And it just, you remember the one that happened in Cape Coast?
Yeah.
The bus was totally damaged. And this is like a big bus.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and it's not that we are being critical of these state agencies. I mean, they exist to ensure that some of these things are minimized or do not happen. And so when they happen, it's only fair that we raise the issues. Because I recall when Ebony passed on, there was a serious national conversation. In fact, the agencies we are talking about, they held meetings and came up with plans. Some of them included fixing traffic lights at various places, fixing street lights at various places, ensuring that there are speed cameras. We talked about a lot of fanciful ideas. And late night driving, I always say that it's very dangerous because of the lighting. And because there are no street lights, you just have your car light up against the other vehicle's light.
Exactly.
Which is blinding if it's pitch dark.
Yeah.
So
that's the situation that I face every day on my stretch.
Yeah.
And this is like, what, a 45 minutes drive. And you have to solely rely on your own lights and the lights of other drivers. Everybody's trying to survive.
So if you are fortunate and you are familiar with the road, you can know where there are potholes, you can know when to take your time. But imagine a driver who is unfamiliar with the road.
Yep.
Just moving, you think you're on a smooth road, moving fast, then within a second you see something in front of you, you try to dodge and you just run into someone else.
What is also most painful is the fact that sometimes you're doing the right thing, or you're driving they say defensive driving. You're doing all the correct things. Somebody will just bring his nonsense and come and crash into you. Yeah.
So we are all at risk.
Listen, we will talk about this matter again, but we're just urging, if you're stepping out, please, we beg you. We've been on this campaign, this Arrive Alive campaign, for a while now. Just look out for you and the next person. There are people who don't care about their lives, but you have to care about their lives for them just so you can survive. So just be a little patient on the road today. Let's just quickly run through some of the papers, but can we also get myjoyonline.com on standby as we go through our portal? In the Times, same ECOWAS story on the front page, the accident story that we've been talking about, 14 perished, 35 injured. And then 5 political parties, independent candidates, CSOs decry EC's filing fee. NPP Deputy General Secretary says it's okay. But that's normal, right? I mean, yeah, that's what we've seen with an incumbent party siding with the Electoral Commission all the time. This is not new. If it was the other way, we would have seen
the NDC is complaining their money is too much. Just 4 years down the line. Very interesting.
Yeah, and then on the back page, New Jabeng South loses almost 70% revenue. Details of that story is also there on the back page of the paper. Joseph, is there a paper that you haven't done? I think pretty much.
I've touched on the main ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's do the Business and Financial Times. Vice President inaugurates $56.7 million US dollar liquid bulk terminal at Takoradi Ports. Airports company postpones mandatory online COVID-19 test payment directive. Airlines seek aggressive advertisement to sensitize travelers. What does it mean? What does it mean, really? Also address unsustainable indebtedness to Ghana Gas. That's the Public Interest and Accountability Committee and the Institute for Energy Security. They want government to address what they describe as unsustainable indebtedness to the Ghana National Gas Company. Banks' reliance on Bank of Ghana for credit support drops 91.7%. You can read details of all these stories in the Business and Financial Times newspaper. myjoyonline.com, and Joseph will take us through our news portal.
Yes, so the stories here, we have Electoral Commission should generate future voters register from the NIS coming from the AG's office. An ECOWAS meeting will bring peace to Mali. Will implement free senior high school better is coming from Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. Samuel Oku makes a case for 4 more to do more. And there are some other stories having to do with legal education and also inflating filing fees to raise revenue for Electoral Commission is unprincipled. And what is the purpose of the 100,000 filing fee? Is coming from the NDC. Government's recent sword cutting ceremonies at Sakawa. It's coming from the NDC flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama. Okay, Sakawa again.
I remember there's ASEPA trying to get, well, they don't need a permit to demonstrate, but they need to notify
the police.
Exactly, and they were denied.
Yeah, and which is again in a manner that is contrary to the position that has been affirmed by the courts, because the requirement is once an individual notifies you and you don't want him to demonstrate, you need to apply for an injunction at the High Court. Not ex parte, as was the case in the past, that has been set aside to, you need to notify him on notice, then you both meet and argue over it. But I mean, I think we are tired of saying this over and over again. The rights to them, we saw it in the case of the Economic Fighters League too. The right to the police that we want to demonstrate, the police response that will not approve it. You don't have the power of approval. I think by now we shouldn't be having this conversation.
Well, they probably could have used the excuse of COVID, but then they say, even if you did that, that won't be justifiable because you allowed some people recently to demonstrate on the Sakawa, the Achim Sakawa issue. Why won't you let us?
Yeah.
Well, we have to make way for sports. We've got our trivial NSM question. It's a problem question. Can we have the question just before we make way for sports? Let's try who can, get a hand on that trivial question. But I'm not just asking you. This one is a 20 kg box is dropped 13 meters. How much work was done on the box? A 30 kilogram crate is pushed 15 meters across the floor if 19 N. Where does 90 N? Where is the producer of the Newton? Of force was used to achieve this motion. How much work was done? Even me, I'm asking questions. Listen, what we need you to do with this problem question is to solve it, record it. You explain how you solved it. Can you?
I think on Friday we should. No, I can. But I think on Friday. Yes, but okay. I think on Friday.
Let's go for sports.
On Friday, we should try solving one, the two of us.
Like me and you.
Yeah, we should try.
I'm not a physics person. I'm not a physics person. Maybe biology I could try, but not physics. So we will come back. Joseph will be back. He will try question 1 or 2. Maybe. I'm not sure.
I'm going to some place.
Who said you're not coming back? Let's make way for sport. I guess the whole of Africa is excited for Aubameyang. That's part of the stories that Oriku will be telling us as he signs another 3 years for the Gunners. Sports is up next. Thank you for still staying with us here on the AM show, and welcome to AM Business. Is brought to us every Wednesday courtesy EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. So the bold move by the government to sweep off major economic and bureaucratic hurdles to ease the cost of venturing into industrial enterprises have made manifest in the recent spring up of new competitive factories across the country. So far, 28 factories have been completed and fully operational, while 153 are currently at various stages of completion as new, revived or expanded factories. But where are these factories? My colleague Giles Aite was with the Trade Minister's entourage as he paid a working visit to some of the factories.
In the first week of September, the Trade Minister Alan Tremantin made a whistle stop to various 1D1 factories, including the Amantin Agro-Processing Limited, a wholly owned Ghanaian company. Though nearing the final phase of completion, the factory is earmarked as one of the most modernized and fully automated industrial starch factories in the West African sub-region, with a total investment of $34 million. The company is currently cultivating 14,000 acres of farmland as its own plantation, while supporting thousands of local farmers to cultivate over 40,000 acres of farmland under an outgrower scheme, including 15,000 principal outgrowers.
Part of our agenda as a government or as a country is to be able to do import substitution. That is, produce locally the things that we import. Now, if you want to produce things that you import locally, obviously you are not expecting government to go into production. We've tried this after independence. The government set up a number of state enterprises, and we know the fate of these state enterprises. So if we need to follow a path of producing for ourselves the goods that we import, again, we have to rely on the private sector.
Alan Tremantin also made a stop at Premium Foods Limited, an agro-processing company located in Jachi Pramso in Kumasi and yet to be commissioned under the 1D1F program in November.
We get maize, grains and soya coming together. We mill it into powder and then it comes into the extruder. The extruder, you inject steam and water, treated water to it. So it's like you are cooking. When you put something on fire, you boil it up, you attain high temperatures. When it starts boiling, you are cooking it. So it's the same thing. So we mix the soya maize into powder, we inject water, steam, and then it goes through the extruder to increase the temperature to about between 110 to 135 degrees. That will kill any microbiological objects in the product. So at the end of the day, the product will come out as a cooked product, one, and safe product to eat. But at this point, it's just the maize and the soya. Then it comes out as a pellet. We dry them, we have a dryer which we dry at a temperature of about 140 degrees to make sure that even whatever is still inside will be killed. And then we mill it again to powder. We mill it with this one, this is the hammer mill. We mill it into a powder and then we fortify it with minerals, vitamins. And then we mix it up here in the mixer here.
This is not government establishing state enterprises. How could you even imagine the government could have the expertise to do what this gentleman has done? So it is government working in collaboration with the private sector. That is what the One District, One Factory is all about.
The private sector's feedback to the 1D1F program is immense. You could see for yourself the huge investments being injected into various factories across various constituencies, not just to prep up the industrialization agenda of government, but also to help restore confidence in local manufactured products and reduce the larger scale of importation of local raw materials into the country. Here at the new factory of beverage firm Casapreco, the government, through the 1D1F initiative, has injected $28 million in tax waivers for the expansion and competitiveness of the factory at Kumasi in the Ashanti region.
This soft drinks and juice line is going to do 35,000 bottles an hour over here. So everything here is fully automated, from the bottling side, the blending side, to the packing side as well. The factory itself is going to man at full capacity about 300 people, from engineering to marketing to warehousing. However, we have a lot of indirect employment as well, over 3,000 from our distributors and suppliers and transporters. So I think this will be the major factory within the town or so area that we are in now.
Unless we create this critical mass of factories, where are we expecting that all these graduates would be engaged in? So for me, it makes a lot of sense that government is putting so much emphasis on this One District, One Factory project. Again, it is also providing an opportunity for us to extend our reach beyond Accra and Tema. That's where the decentralization comes in.
Well, this is yet another product of the One District, One Factory program of government. This is the factory of Casapreco in the Ashanti region. We're gathering this is going to be the largest in the region so far, with a tax waiver of $28 million. Already the MD has been interacting with us on the import of this particular waiver and what it means to the factory. We're talking of the creation of over 300 direct jobs and 3,000 indirect jobs in that nature. Already we do know that the 1D1F has caught the eyes of the private sector, and more are willing to invest in this venture as they see it as a much more profitable move. So far, Parliament has approved a total of $2 million in tax waivers on machinery, equipment and raw materials to be procured by 3 companies under the 1D1F program of government. For local factories like Joy Industries, these interventions are crucial for their timely survival.
So we are pleading that the government should infuse our company into the 1D1F policy or program, so that we can also have some sort of assistance to make this company very big and then create more employment and jobs for the people. And I want to add that, government can easily not create employment. Yes, government should rather look at the various companies and create employment through the unfortunately on our part, the banks that we were dealing with, they were affected by the structuring of the financial sector. Our prayer now is the government should look at us as a company, because when you look at where we are operating from, we are located in a remote area. That's how I'll put it.
Making a whistle stop at Ryder Steel in Kumasi, Trade and Industries Minister Alan Tremantin explained the reasons why government is bent on decentralizing the steel's manufacturing industry in Ghana.
We're embarking on a major industrial transformation agenda, and all over the world where you see significant progress in industrialization, steel is always a major part of that. We have large deposits of iron ore, and we've identified the iron and steel industry as one of our new strategic anchor industries to diversify our economy. But before we get to that stage where we can mine our iron ore and then also add value and get steel.
When completed, Ryder Steel in Kumasi is expected to employ about 900 to 1,000 workers within the community. We interacted with the general manager, TP Patnaik, who explained the entire process in accruing specific loans from the International Financial Corporation under the World Bank.
Moving out from the Tema, we have all the steel factories in Tema, as the minister told her. We are trying to actually move out and come develop other region. This is a region which was not developed at all. Like if you see, the major reason was there was no power earlier. Now the country has excess power and power is available here. We said let's go and develop this place. Second is the market is, we are looking at North Market and the neighboring countries and inside of Ghana. Not only the port of Ghana, that's why we trade.
And how has the feedback from government been so far?
We have been pretty well, supported by them. We have been talking to them regularly. They have been very helpful on getting us all the permits, licenses, everything to be done. So,
how much does it cost to establish this factory?
This whole factory's projected cost is about $24 million, but it might go up a little bit. But
already, Trade Minister Alan Tremantin has been detailing to Joy Business the need for industries to decentralize across the country, making his tour across several factories and business resource centers in Kumasi. The Trade Minister explained the reasons why government continues to inject capital in struggling and surviving factories to ensure the 1D1F project is completed. With the 1D1F project steadily gravitating towards agro-processing, there is a measured confidence in Ghana becoming a leading food basket in the sub-region, as risks of food insecurity currently are negligible. considering the Planting for Food and Jobs program, amongst others.
The week store by the Trades and Industries Minister Alan Tremantin has brought out key issues pertaining local industries and manufacturing firms. The first has to do with their competitiveness for the African market, the second being government's intervention to revamp ailing industries, and the third being the capacity of most of these factories to meet demand not just in Ghana but across the world. So far, there are key concerns regarding the interventions and its implications on industry moving forward. But we've heard from the Trade Minister Alan Tremantin, who says that every little intervention government has injected into factories and the 1D1F projects is all aimed at expanding Ghana's manufacturing base to make it a giant, especially when the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement area is coming to full force next year. I'm Charles Aita reporting for Joy Business.
And that's AM Business, brought to us kind courtesy EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, with a focus on the One District, One Factory, with a tour with the Trades Minister. Charles Aite bringing us details there. And AM Business is on the AM Show every Wednesday, so do make a date and don't miss it. So from AM Business, we move into a conversation that is all very familiar, and often we use words such as fatal, horrific, gruesome. You know, we use these words to describe the many accidents that have occurred on our roads, and we talk about it just like we're talking about it this morning. There are lots of discussions, lots of words, commitment, and yet we see the accident occur again and again and again. This latest one, 2 children have lost their parent in an accident which occurred Tuesday dawn at Chechere on the Accra-Kumasi Highway. The death toll has risen to 17, with several passengers injured and battling for their lives at the Suhum and Nsawam government hospitals. Let's bring back that story, and then we will tell you about another accident that occurred just last night.
14 people have so far lost their lives, with 35 others injured. 2 children below 6 years lost their parents in the accident, which happened at Chechere on the Accra-Kumasi Highway. 2 Accra-bound passenger buses crashed into a cargo truck headed to Burkina Faso with bags of flour. The 2 buses, a Kia Grandbird and an STC bus, carried over 60 passengers. The Kia Grandbird was heading to Accra from Bolgatanga, while the STC bus was also heading to Accra from Wale Wale. Those who survived the accident suffered various degrees of injuries and have been sent to the Suhum Government Hospital and the Nsawam Government Hospital. The leader of the fire service team dispatched to the scene, Station Officer 1 John Kofi, spoke to Joy News.
We were called around 4 a.m. So we used about 15 minutes to arrive on the scene. We interviewed one of the drivers. He said he was driving away from Bolga, whereby as he alighted at Wale Wale, he picked some passengers into the car. So as he was driving to this Chechere, the driver was sleeping.
Gideon Fianco lives around. He tells me that at 5 a.m., he heard a loud sound, which he later discovered was an accident involving 2 passenger buses and a cargo truck. He said he rushed to the scene and told me this.
We were in the home. Early in the at 4:30 to 5, we hear a big noise, sound. Blah, 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 blah. What happened? My wife said it was accident, so we rushed to the place, and we came. There was a very, very serious injury. People died, and people they cannot fit talk, so they are just crying, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. So we rushed them, and then we rescued them from the incident. So we was there, the firemen who came and helped. That's what I say.
So this bus, which is a Grandbird, as you know, was coming from Bolga to Accra. And then the STC was moving from
you said Boko to Accra.
Boko to Accra.
And the trailer was from Accra to, what they call, no. He said it's going to Burkina. Yeah, it was Burkina car. So it was that car which caused the accident. The trailer.
Because this is a double road, but one inbound and one outbound. So that means all the
two buses were going to Accra. Yeah. So the trailer was going to Burkina. It's a blast tie. But we went there, we did not see any driver or any mate. Nobody was in the car, in the vehicle. The trailer, nobody was in the vehicle, but it caused a very big damage. But we have not seen anything about the driver or the mate. So we cannot talk much about that place.
So the idea is that the trailer ran into these two buses?
Yeah, the trailer ran into these two buses. So the trailer caused the accident between these two buses. So they wanted to swerve, but they do what they can, but they couldn't survive.
So as you can see in your shots, this is the Grandberg bus, one of the buses involved in this accident here at the scene. Was carrying 44 persons, and this bus was coming from Bolgatanga to Accra. So you could see from there was such a collision with this bus and then the STC bus and then a trailer which was involved. The trailer is still around, it has not been towed away. As you can see, this bus will soon be towed away by the Road Safety Management Services. The medical superintendent of the Suhum Government Hospital, where the bodies of the 14 who lost their lives have been deposited, spoke to Joy News.
Today, we had 22 patients being rushed to our accident and emergency unit. Out of that number, 2 were children under 5 years, and 18 were seen. The 18 that were seen they had minor injuries, so they were seen, treated and discharged. We currently have 1 on admission with some lacerations, with facial lacerations, so he's been managed, and 1 had injury into the abdomen, so he was stabilized and referred to the Koforidua Regional Hospital. We also had 13 brought in dead. Out of that number, 6 were female and 7 were male. So in summary, that's what happened.
So far, 18 of those involved in this accident who were sent to the Suhum Government Hospital have been treated and discharged, with 1 referred to the Koforidua Regional Hospital.
So as at the time of filing this report, the death toll was 14, but we now know that it is 17. We'll try and get the latest as we consolidate the figures in a little bit. But, you know, just after this accident later on, there was another one, this time on the Gomoa Dam near Gomoa Antaze on the Kaswa Cape Coast Highway in the Central Region, where we're told some 5 persons died in this accident. Let's hear from Apam District Fire Commander DO1 Adolf Ankoma Nuyama and Medical Superintendent of Apam Catholic Hospital, Dr. Paul Acha, with details.
We were called that there was an accident around Gomoa Adams and Gomoa Chirimkwanta. Actually, when we went there, it was very horrible. It was headlong collision. 4 Transit and a Toyota Haze. So we were actually, when we got there, we saw that those at the front, both cars, they were all trapped. But we observed that those at the 4 Transit, they were already gone. They were dead. And those at the Toyota Haze, they were crying. Actually, they were crying. So we have to make sure that we work fast. So we did the curtains and everything, and we were able to release them and gave it to the ambulance before we went to the 4 Transit to also make sure that we release the dead bodies and give it to the ambulance. Taking and over speeding must stop, because according to eyewitness, it was unnecessary overtaking by, I think, the 4 Transit or so. So actually, when we went, it had already happened. And the cause and everything will be left for the police. But that is what we know it happened. It's overtaken. So we are pleading with the drivers that this road is very hot road, so they have to make sure that they reduce speed and they will be very much careful when driving. Yeah.
Between two buses at Goma Odumasi, in which the two drivers are well. 14 people were involved. 5 passed, and then 7 had serious injuries. We are having difficulty with the referral, hoping to get a spare space in other places. But if we get a best space, we'll refer them to the according health facilities. But they are all stable. The 7 are stable, currently stable. And we've managed them, but 5 were brought in dead, so they are at the morgue. So they are all men. All men. They are all men.
So that's the updates on this latest one that happened. So just in one day, we've lost so many lives. And we, like I said, we talk about these things. We talk about it when it happens. We share our sentiment. We use different words to describe what we've seen. And then it happens again. Dr. Akyea Darkwah is a transport consultant. He joins us for a conversation on the back of this. Doc, good morning to you. I hope that you can hear me. Dr. Akyea Darkwah, good morning to you. Can you kindly unmute yourself so we can hear you? Hello, sir. Okay, I hear you say good morning, but we can't get the sound. It looks like we have a challenge with that. We'll take a breather, work on that, and come back on this conversation. All right, let's connect with Dr. Akyea Darkwah, who's a transport consultant. Good morning, sir. Hopefully we can hear you.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Thanks for joining us. Not a very good morning, but you must be tired talking about road accident and why it keeps occurring. Nothing happens. We'll come back and have this conversation. You must be really tired.
Very, very, because
Well, unfortunately, with the connection is breaking now that we can hear you. We're having difficulties there with a stable connection to Dr. Akyea Darkwah. He's a transport consultant helping us with this conversation on the many road accidents that we keep witnessing. Dr. Akyea Darkwah, apologies there, we lost you because the connection wasn't so great. If you can begin your submission.
Good morning again. I was saying we are so much tired about this road accidents, and we know the causes of these accidents. We know the solutions. Still, we're very little. It's so pathetic and so sad. The number of people that we are losing. When you look at from 2015. The accident keep on rising up to date. And we were thinking that all of us were estimating that with the presence of this COVID, where a movement was restricted, it's going to have a positive impact on the death on our road. But it's showing rather negative. It is rather rising. Injuries are rising. Deaths are rising. And you can see that the common cause are also exhibited in these two accidents that happened only yesterday. When you look at what happened in Chichirere near Suwum, is what? Tie best. And if a tie best with a loaded vehicle descending a hill with high speed will result in some of these things that we are seeing. Look at what happened in Gomwa, Odumasi, overspeeding, taking, and crash. These are the things. And we can solve it. because most of the causes of this is as a result of the drivers. The drivers are the main forefront of these ones. And I also say the vehicle owners are also contributing into sin. The vehicle owners are contributing to sin because tie-best, before a driver drives, he has to make sure that the vehicle's tires are intact. But the vehicle owners must provide the tires after even the driver has identified that the tires are not good. But you tell the vehicle owners and they don't listen to these drivers. That's one great cause. So this interface between the car owner and the driver is causing a lot of death on our road. And then drivers, I've been advising them anytime I teach them, if your vehicle tire is not good and your master says go, don't go, because we don't know what's going to happen to you on the road.
I appreciate where you're coming from, and it looks like this is not, so this is like a... Hello, Dr. Chiadakwa, we're losing you there again. Hello, Dr. Chiadakwa. Okay, we seem to have lost Dr. Chiadakwa, transport consultant, who's helping us understand why we still witness some of these road accidents. Dr. Chiadakwa, just at the tail end of what you were saying, we lost you right there. But I was saying that I appreciate where you're coming from. It looks like this is not, the cause is not one, because this angle that you bring in is also pretty new to, I guess, some of us, where you talk about the owners of the vehicle not providing the right things that the cars will need. And you talk about the tires, for instance. Who brings all these things together? So if the car owner is not doing the right thing, if the driver is either tired and is still behind the steering wheel driving, if somebody is overtaking, if somebody has overloaded, who is supposed to ensure that all these things are right?
I can't hear you.
Okay, Dr. Chiadakwa, can you please hear me now?
Yeah, now it's better, but I didn't hear what you said previously.
Okay, so my question is, who brings the pieces together? Who brings the pieces together? And I'm just following up on the tie example that you make with the car owner.
Very good. The third is this. The police, the MTDD, should greatly help us in this direction. One, when they are on the road, they should have the mechanism and then the knowledge to test the vehicle's tire, whether it's good and safer for use or that vehicle which it is falling under. The police do that. And they should continue with the way they work on the road, they should continue with it.
Wait, hang on, Dr. Chiadakwa. Do you...
The car vehicle...
Sorry, sir. Did you say that the police do that? They check the car tires? Or they are supposed to?
They are supposed to check the vehicle tires with the help of the union, transport unions. I know for sure, some time ago, with the GPR2 was doing this data, that before every vehicle that is a long distance vehicle leaves their station, they make sure that the station masters and the people there will check the tires and see that they are in good conditions. But at the same time, the police also should add it up to their role, because tire burst is one of the leading causes of death on our road. So they should check, they should have the equipment that can help them to check, if they don't have, such that they can make sure a mid-tire-worthiness vehicle drive on our road. The police can do that to reduce this part of the thing. Third is that the training, when training goes on, drivers will understand that if the tires are under their vehicles are not good, they should never drive their vehicles. And by that, it means that when they drive, it is not helping anybody. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're following you, Dr. Chiadakwa.
Yes. So the drivers should also arm themselves with safety gadgets. And what is it? The safety gadgets they have to arm themselves is simply like this. If they are trained with proper training, what they will know is that if the tire is not good under their vehicle, they should not heed to the instructions of their owners that they should go and come the next week, will buy another tire for you. No way. because when the accident happens, they do affect the drivers. A lot of drivers die through such accidents, and therefore they should also protect themselves by not driving vehicles that have unwholesome ties.
Just before you move to the third point, that sounds right, but if I refuse to drive the vehicle, I am losing my livelihood. It's not as simple as that.
That is where a driver must equate his life with money. Do you want to die because your tire is not good and your car owner is not providing for you? Do you want to die? If you think money is of value for you, then the unions will come in, that they will check the tires before you leave the station. That means that they are protecting the lives of the drivers. If the tires are bad, they call the vehicle owner to make the tire good before they leave. The third phase will be that the police will be on the road with the National Road Safety Authority will be on the road. That will be the third phase. Such that if the vehicle tires are not good, they will arrest the drivers. The drivers, and then call the vehicle owner to come to replace the tires before they let you go. When these three phases are done systematically, we wouldn't have bad tires on the road, best than care. And finally, is that although we know insurance are paying for the deaths and injuries of victims, and also paying for vehicle compensation, the vehicle who are using the owners who are using their vehicle for commercial business must make sure that if they don't change their tire, the court should also, the law should be also twisted. Should be made such a way that they would also apprehend and fine and punish vehicle owners who leave their cars, their faulty cars in the hands of drivers to kill passengers and drivers. You know, we can do this systematically, and all this problem will solve. For example, when you talk about overspeeding, who overspeed a vehicle? That one is a unique responsibility of the driver. Is the driver who does the overspeeding. So if a driver is overspeeding and the police are also on the road using their radar gun and those things, they can make sure they can see the vehicle that overspeeding, arrest the driver. But what to do is that should also take their own lives and safety into their own hands. Try to disallow any vehicle that is driving overspeed. You know, so that when this happens and we get people, we can measure the speed of a vehicle in an accident. After the accident, we can measure. So when you do this, take this measurement, and you find out that the driver was speeding before causing such a crash, then the driver would then be held responsible. And then we should also look at our punishment, the laws. The laws, we say road crashes are not criminal offenses. So the drivers kill people, and they go that with a very low fines. So there is a complete system that we have to make sure that we overhaul and make driver training compulsory. All drivers, as it is said in the law, the LI 2180, it specifically says that all commercial drivers must go through driver training periodically, and these are not done. These are not done. This year, for example, I can't tell you institution drivers have gone through any training because of the COVID. No training has gone on in the country. When training becomes less, road crashes becomes more. This was exhibited in 2015 when the World Bank trained a whole lot of people in the country. And the resultant effect was that the road accident was very low, came very low, very, very marginable. Okay? But when we stop training, then crashes will go high.
Dr. Achiadakwa, we appreciate the bit about Ghana, but if you look at this accident, this one on the Suhum Road, we're told that the bigger vehicle, the truck that essentially caused the accident is not a Ghanaian vehicle. This is a foreign registered vehicle. And I wonder what the protocols are in terms of these vehicles. Driving at that time of the day, for instance, and overloading. What are we supposed to do? Are they supposed to be on our roads? Dr. Achiadakwa, did you get my question, please? Okay, unfortunately, We've lost the connection to Dr. Achia Darkwah. He's a transport consultant, and the other leg of the conversation was on the fact that the truck involved in this accident is a foreign registered vehicle. Just wanted to get the understanding of the protocols that they are also supposed to go through. Dr. Achia Darkwah, fortunately we have you back. Just a final bit of the conversation. I wanted to know what the protocols are, because the truck involved in this accident, from the eyewitness accounts, what caused the accident really is this vehicle that is not Ghanaian registered.
Yes, it's simple. When any vehicle, foreign vehicle, go.
Unfortunately, can we raise him on the telephone line so we can just finish this conversation? I'm not sure that Zoom is doing us any good this morning with this conversation. Dr. Achia Darkwah is a transport consultant. You may have been following this accident that happened, that we told you about, I guess just about the same time yesterday on the Suhum Highway. But just later on in the evening, there was another one that happened on the Gumwa Road that also claimed some 5 lives, and there are human beings battling their lives right now in the hospital. We keep recording these accidents, and we keep recording really higher figures. Dr. Achia Darkwah, thank you for joining us on phone. I just wanted us to finish this conversation smoothly. So you're telling us about the foreign vehicles.
Yes. If a foreign vehicle enters the territory of another country, he is obliged to go by the rules and regulations in that country. If Ghana sets our systems and our transport, governance system properly, what will happen is that they would abide by it. If you are from a foreign country and you are coming, and Ghana has it that if your vehicle is, the vehicle size group is less than 1.600, 1.6 mm, you are not allowed to enter Ghana. It means that at the border, the car will not even enter. If he has load, he loads from a particular place. If the vehicle is leaving the town, there are police enforcement there, if not a unionized station. But most of them belong to a union. These unionized people will check with just a coin. They can test the level of wear, that's the tread wear on the tire. You can just check it without difficulty at all. If it's below that standard, the union people should disallow that car to leave the station. And then also, the police would also come into help by making sure that they check this same tread wear on the vehicle, that it falls below 1.6 mm, they will also disallow. So when it happens like that, we don't care whether it's from foreign or from anywhere. We are applying Ghana rules and safety on our road. When we do that, we protect everybody.
So who is failing us, Dr. Achia Darkwah? Who has failed us?
The system. The system is failing us.
When the system means, what is the system?
The system means from the vehicle owners are not doing their rightful duties, their rightful responsibilities, and what is they are obliged to do, they are not doing it. By not maintaining the vehicles very well, vehicle type death means that either the tire has elapsed, the lifespan has elapsed, and we can find that it is easily noticeable, or whether the tires are so worn out, and you can see that also clearly. So the vehicle owners must provide good tires. So it starts from them. The drivers who are driving the vehicles, they also have a role to play. If they go through proper training, they will not use a worn-out tire whilst driving on long distances, even short distances. When we come to the unions have a role to play to help to make sure that vehicles that are leaving their car stations or their truck stations have the right maintenance culture, or they have the right size for that their vehicles. When they do that, they can also prevent some of this. Then finally, the police who make sure they maintain, make sure people become responsible on the road. They will also find out vehicles that do not have the right staff of maintenance and type provisions before you allow them to pass. So that is the system. It starts from the driver to the police. And then also the passengers who are involved if it comes to overspeeding. So when all these things are done right, it will help us. One thing I would pray to Ghana that the companies or the NGOs
who have previously advocated for passengers' rights. We don't hear from them. We don't hear about them too much this time. After Ghana Pass owner died, I'm not hearing too much about passenger organizations. These are NGOs that try to go to stations and educate passengers for the passengers to know their safety rights while aboard of vehicles. And all this must be done right.
Well, Dr. Akyea Darkwah, we'll leave the conversation here. We're all pretty tired of talking about the same things, but can you imagine what will happen if we didn't talk at all? So we really appreciate the thoughts that you share with us and the understanding that you bring to this conversation. He's a transport consultant, Dr. Akyea Darkwah. Stay with us. You're still watching the AM show. We will come back with our hashtag Wednesday Physics on our National Science and Maths Quiz 2020 conversations. And we will be telling you also about the schools that are through to the 1/8 stage of the competition. Grateful to these incredible companies for bringing us our conversations on the National Science and Maths Quiz. Bright Senior High School in Kokorontumi, building dreams, shaping future. Also DBS Roofing, Papa Perfie. Adonko Hand Sanitizer, Korompo Suru. Adonko Next Level Energy Drink, the premium energy drink. Now, let's get on to Zoom now and let's speak to my colleague, Nana Yao, PSA Nana Yao Safo, joining us via Zoom. PSA, hopefully you can hear me. You're in the Ashanti region now. From the Bono zone, you're in the Ashanti.
Yes, Mama V, we arrived here yesterday from the contest 4 and 5, the final round of the contest in the Bono zone. Quite interesting rounds. It featured Kintampo SHS, Techiman SHS, Jobo SHS, and 2 final rounds featuring Sunyani SHS and the losing schools with the highest point, Sacred Heart and Jobo SHS. In the end, the 2 schools joining Bekum SHS, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and that of Notre Dame Girls is Techiman SHS and Sunyani SHS. They had their round yesterday, and in fact, there were some quite interesting rounds. For Kintampo SHS, Techiman SHS, and Jobo SHS, which was contest 4, it was heavily contested with Techiman SHS in the end, even with the round 3 problem of the day round, scoring a 10 out of 10, which is rare. Through that, they were able to win the Prudential Bank Award for 2,000 Mercedes for the team. They ended up with 37 points, beating their closest opponent. That's Kintampo SHS with 32 points. That's a 5-point gap difference. So you can tell it was heavily contested. Jobo SHS lagged, and unfortunately, they were tipped to win that particular one, but they did lose out since they were the winning school last year to qualify to the 1/8 stage. Kintampo SHS and Techiman had not been there. They were lost out at the preliminary stage, but Techiman this year has made some strides and is moving on forward. With contest 5, which featured Sunyani SHS, Sacred Heart, and Jobo SHS, that one wasn't quite impressive, even though Sunyani SHS did win. At the end of round 1, the winning school, which was Sunyani, had only 5 points as compared to 2 and 3 from the other contestants. Problem of the day, all 3 schools scored 0 over 10. And as we were told by the quiz mistress, Dr. Anita Beku, they almost had no idea what was happening with the questioning there. All the same, they did win, and they told me in their interactions that they are going to win the National Science and Maths Quiz. They claim they're going to work way harder to be more competitive in the 1/8 stage of the competition. So here in Kumasi, with the highlights, we just arrived, as I said, more preparations and production work will be done today to lay down works for tomorrow. But here at the Ashanti region is quite competitive. In fact, it's a very decorated region, rivaled only by the central region when it comes to the National Science and Maths Quiz. We are going to have 21 schools in the preliminary rounds, which is 7 preliminary rounds, preliminary contests, which is the highest we've had so far from the northern to the Bono, and I'm sure across the nation too. They're going to have 7. That means 7 out of 21 schools are going to compete. There are schools here like the Kumasi Anglican Senior High School, if you recall from last year, who submitted 2 Form 2 students, they were competing in the National Science and Maths quiz. Quite rare. Most of the time, schools submit their final year students. They did so well, and they were unfortunately eliminated in the 1-8 stage by Opoku-Ware by a point. And so having a year after, it will be quite interesting to see how they turn out. There are also schools like St. Hubert and Asanteman, which are being tipped to go very far in the tournament. With the girls' schools, we have the likes of St. Monica's right here in the Ashanti region, which has scored very high points from the regionals. They are hoping to make a lot of waves within these preliminary stages here, Mama V.
All right, PSA, so the competition in Ashanti will begin tomorrow. Already we know that there are 6 seeded schools, and we'll see the other schools battle it out to get to the 1-8 stage of the competition. So pretty much nothing is happening today in Ashanti. The competition itself is tomorrow.
Yes, so today mostly it's production work. What happens is that the quiz mistress will be around. They'll test the sounds, make sure everything is available. The schools also have 1 day to prep and get in shape for the battle ahead tomorrow. 7 hot rounds in the popular Comerica.
Okay. PSA, which school did you go to yourself?
Well, I'm proud of that dear.
Did you do science?
I didn't actually. I didn't. But I got a misconception of yeah. Oh yes.
Oh no, keep yobbing. I like it. I like the vim.
Well, there was, there was a huge misconception. I'm sure there still is, that almost all smart students have to do science in one way or another. And even in school, I have to suffer that a lot. People always say, "Are you a science student?" But I was in one of the pure art classrooms, the 8th class, and I'm sure all the Pacific Legon boys out there are quite popular for its courses.
Okay. Listen, PSA, thank you for yobbing me. I have a Wednesday physics trivial. It's just trivial. It's just trivial.
Okay.
And I want you to try your hands at that.
Wow.
Where wow means?
Well, wow means well.
Okay, listen, just give me your understanding, okay? I've got 3 questions, but I'll just ask you. You went to Presec, you said?
Yes, but as an art student, a pure art student.
Why are you qualifying it? I have one of your lecturers. I have one of your lecturers in the. I have one of your lecturers in the studio. So think carefully. Think carefully before you attempt. Okay. Here's the question. Can I have the question on the screen, please? A 20-kilogram box is dropped 13 meters. How much work was done on the box? Don't solve it. Just explain your understanding.
Okay, this is a doozy. Let me check it out. You want me to explain how I'm going to go about it?
No, PSA, what did you say?
I said, do you want the answer? You just want me to explain how I'll go about it?
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so
can we see his face?
Well,
okay.
Okay, Mama V, I think this is going to deal with more of the volume, the weight, and the pressure. Basically, yes. These are my basic understandings.
Hey, but you're very confident, so you can confuse anybody.
Of course, I'm in America.
PSA. It is what? The atmosphere.
yeah, it's certainly one of confidence. You can tell how tomorrow's round will be going.
PSA, thank you very much. Let's leave the competition itself to the students, yeah?
I'll be on standby for the free education that you gave on that particular round. Thank you so much.
That's PSA in Kumasi. He's been following the National Science and Maths quiz. He was in the Bono zone, and now he's in Ashanti. Kwesi Techi SL York is at Presec Legon, certainly has a better understanding of the question that we put up. So let me say good morning to you.
Good morning.
What do you think about what PSA was saying in terms of his understanding of question 1?
Okay. He was talking about volume and pressure, but I think that the question is so direct such that you see the mass in there in kilogram, and you also see the distance the box was moved. That is 13 meters. So it is as direct as going with just the values there without having to talk about volume and then the pressure he was talking about. So in other jurisdictions or details, maybe that could be applied, but not with this simple one we have on the screen.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it the same understanding for question 2 and question 3?
Yes, basically.
Okay.
Basically.
All right. So if somebody was solving, and we have our viewers, thankfully they've solved it, and we're going to be seeing what they've solved. But if somebody was approaching these questions, what would you expect before we touch on what they've sent?
Okay. So if you look at the theme of the question, it's talking about work done. And principally, when you're talking about work done, we're talking about when a load or an object is moved through a distance in the direction of the force being applied to the object. So for the formula that will be used, we say that work done is equal to the force applied to the object times the distance moved.
Okay.
But with this particular one, realize that we are not giving the force directly. We've been given the mass. We're given the mass. So you use the mass, and we're also given a constant. And the constant is 9.8 meters per second squared.
Okay.
And so before you get to the force, you have to find, before you get to working the work, you have to find the force.
Okay.
Using the mass and then the G.
Okay.
So you see, it is dropped. So we're talking about free fall something. And so we talk about the G, acceleration due to gravity.
Okay.
So the force will be worked out from mass times the G. Okay. So
all right.
We would have to multiply the 20 by the...
We'll come back to the solution itself.
Great.
So I want you to see the answers that we've received.
Okay.
And then you can tell us what is wrong with the answers presented before we go into solving.
Okay.
So here's one, because we put out a number that you could send the answers. Mr. Iselyo, can you see clearly from what it has been presented?
Yeah, I see the question 1.
Okay.
At the other end, where the student or whoever solved tried to work out it. Let me see. So we have the mass given as 20 kilogram. That is correct. And then it's also mentioned that the distance is 13 meters. And then the acceleration due to gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared, as given by the question.
Okay.
So, like I was explaining, he worked out first for the force.
Okay.
Using the mass and then acceleration due to gravity.
Okay.
So you see the 20 kilogram multiplying the 9.8, and correctly he arrived or she arrived at 196 newtons, which is the force applied.
Okay.
So in the question, it was not given directly. So you have to work out.
So
for
this
that one.
approach is good.
So the first approach is correct, and then you went on to find the work done now, which is the force times the distance. And so correct computation would give you the 2,548 joules, and that is correct.
Okay.
The one I see here is very correct.
Hey,
accurate.
What name? Whose work is this, please? Okay, you didn't add your name, but I'm sure you see your own handwriting. Can we go to question 2?
Yes.
So the question 2 is a 30 kilogram crate pushed 15 meters across the floor. If 19 newtons of force was used to achieve this motion, how much work was done? Is the approach good for you?
Yes. So normally when you're working something like that, you try to read the question and get the details of the question, which we call the data. So exactly what the person did. So the person has the force mentioned in the question as 19 newtons, and then the mass of the substance is 30 kilograms, and then the distance moved is 15. But in this particular case, we don't consider the mass in solving this, because the mass has been catered for in the force given.
Okay.
So we neglect the mass 30 kilograms and work directly with the work done equals force times distance, which is the 19 multiplying the 15, and accurately that will give you 285 joules. So that is also correct.
Okay. Oh, wow. Fantastic. The last answer.
The last answer.
Can we see, are you familiar with the question? Can we see the question real quick, and then we'll come to the approach?
Okay.
If you're familiar with the question, then you can check out the answer.
So this one, I think a person or Rand, that's the name. How would you mention that one for me?
So that's Rand pushing 14 kilograms filing cabinet.
Okay.
2.1 meters across the floor.
Okay.
Doing 82.2 joules of work. How much force is he applying to the cabinet?
Okay, so with this one, what happens is that we've been given the mass as 14 kilograms. And then the distance moved is also 2.1 meters. And then the work done is 88.2 joules. And you know, joules is the units for measuring or considering work done. Okay. Then the acceleration due to gravity is also given 9.8 meters per second. So in this case, we know work done equals the force times distance. But because we have been given the work done, we also have been given the distance. In this case too, we don't work with the mass because the mass is catered for in the force we are about to work out for.
Okay.
So the person directly related work done, force and distance, and then had to work out for the force by using simple algebra, and that is making the force the subject. You have the work done divided by the distance, which is the 88.2 being divided by the 2.1. Okay. And correct cancellation or division will give you the 42 newtons. That is also very accurate.
So if you had 10 points to give out to this person,
I think the person scores a perfect score.
Ooh.
Yes.
Can we call the owner of this work? Please, let's call, because the person didn't add.
The number is there.
So can we call the owner of this work? But how many did we receive? Can we go through a few? Because now that we know what the correct answer is, you also came along, Mr. York. You also came along with the solution.
Yes.
We will touch on that. But this is another. Don't take us through the process. Let's just look at if what they've done is correct.
Okay. So I think this is also very accurate. You have the 196 force being found before the work done is solved, and you still arrive at the 2,548 newtons, and that is also accurate.
Okay.
You go to the second one.
Can we go down?
The second one is also working out for the work done. Directly, you use the 19 newtons force and then the 15 meter distance. And so that also gives you the 285 joules.
Okay.
That's also very accurate.
All right, final one. Let's go up.
They are doing well, actually. And then the work done being given and then the distance being given and you having to find the force. You have it 42 newtons, and that's also very accurate.
So who is the owner of this work again?
Also give the.
So this one is also correct.
Yes, please.
Have we put out rather like very simple? The question is too simple,
no,
isn't it?
It's not simple. You see, you will learn from known to unknown.
Okay.
So if you get them understand this one, then you can later go on to get detailed questions, and then they'll be able to apply to everyday lives.
Okay.
So it's a good job you did.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Shall we see another one, please, if it's possible? Okay. But do we have names to the people? All right. Otherwise, let's put the solution as he put it out. Let's look at the solved question now. But this is your approach, sir.
Yes, please.
Okay. How different is your approach from the two works that we've seen?
Okay. Basically, per the calculations or the computations, it is similar to what they did.
Okay.
But I made a diagram to that effect to make it more illustrative. And so I have the box as the what you see on the screen with mass 20 kilograms, and then the distance being dropped is the 13 meters.
Okay.
And so that is the difference. So I think for them to, if it's supposed to be examination, let's say WAEC something, then sometimes they require that you do the illustration, and that would give you all the, but for the quiz, you don't have to go through even writing all the formulas. There's a shortcut the boys will use. That's why you see that the moment the question is mentioned, they just would multiply because they know it should be multiplied. And so there is a serious shortcut, they call it, to getting the answers in those. Yes.
Okay. We see that. Let's look at the solved question 2, please.
So, okay.
Yes. Let's look at the solved question 2. Here we go.
Okay, so with this also, the approach is similar to what they did, only that I have the diagram and we look at the force, with the arrow pointing forward, showing how the crate was pushed or dragged along the floor. So that is also that.
Okay.
So they also have it.
Let's look at the final solution. The Rhine question.
Yes, please. So that is also there, and it's as accurate as they also did. So the only difference is the diagram. So I think that's why I was giving them the perfect score. That's why I was giving them the perfect
This is impressive. But you know, is this something you also wanted to explain to us?
See, in learning science, whatever we do by theory should be translated into the practicality or the everyday activity. So I have some application of work done in industry.
Okay.
So you realize that the principle of work done is responsible for the operation of elevator. Okay, so we don't learn the work done just for learning it. We apply it later in the industry. Okay, so we'll look at the principle of work done also allows factories to use the forklift to carry heavy metals. That's also based on the principle of work done. And the principle of work done is applied in industries to push and pull materials in factories. Then in everyday life, the principle of work done is what allows ice takers to move ice over ice. And then the principle of work done allows simple activities like resting on a wall or pushing against a wall to be carried out.
Okay.
Then also, the principle of work done is applied by individuals who use lawn mowers on their fields. So whatever we do around, we're looking at science. And this particular one is talking about work done.
Thank you for the practical applications, because my question was going to be, you know, we learn all these things, you make the student go through all this wahala. How do they apply it? Like you're doing journalism right now. How does this force work? So thank you for bringing it home. Let me say good morning to Mr. Doe. Emmanuel Doe is joining us on the phone. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Yes, sir. Are you in school? Like how long ago have you graduated?
Yeah, I have graduated.
Okay, because I'm trying to figure you out. That's why I'm asking the question the way I'm asking it. You solved, we saw your work first. You solved it perfectly. And so you got out of school which year?
I completed in 2019.
Oh, you are fresh. No wonder you could remember. Which school?
MEM Senior High School.
Say again?
MEM Senior High School.
Okay. Did you try the National Science and Maths quiz?
Yeah, I was part of the team.
The 2019 or 2018?
The 2019.
2019. Okay. Yeah. And how far did you go?
Like we were eliminated at the preliminary stage.
Okay.
So we couldn't go far.
Okay. So what's your plan? Are you still home or you've gone to the university?
Yeah, I'm still home.
Okay. What are you hoping to pursue when you go to the university?
Petroleum engineering.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. Listen, Emmanuel Doe, thank you for solving our problem. We really appreciate that you tried your hands on it. Thank you for getting a perfect score.
Okay.
All right. Can I say thank you to our lecturer here. Thank you, sir, for helping us understand this piece of work. And you are at PRESEC.
Yes, please.
Yeah, the only school that has, okay, I'm not saying it.
Hey, oh, please, you can say it. You can say it. It's fine. You can say it, please. It's a fact.
So you're one of the teachers that prepare the students for the National Science and Maths quiz, obviously.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
All right.
Yes,
well, thank you for helping us with our physics. Maybe we can come back to you on another subject another time.
Chemistry. My background is actually chemistry, but as a scientist, you have to be versatile. So, yeah.
So this is not even the expertise.
No, please.
Oh, wow. Well, so we'll come back to you with chemistry. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Now, let's go to my colleague Maxwell Agbagba, who visited the Bright Senior High School, one of our sponsors, and he's come through with this conversation.
But we're in the eastern region, and it's just appropriate for us to bring you to one of the institutions, supporting our coverage of the National Science and Maths quiz, Bright SHS here in Kokrentumi. So we paid them a visit. We drove about 15 minutes, I think 20 minutes or 30 minutes, to get to this place. And we are excited, to be here, Bright SHS, kind of like creating some kind of light within the space here in the eastern region, providing quality education to persons living here and beyond. Let's speak to the public relations officer of the school, Isaac Asari. We want to find out from him what they have, here, and why Bright SHS, stands out here in the eastern region and other parts of Ghana. You're welcome to Joy News, Isaac.
Thank you very much.
Isaac, tell us a little about Bright SHS. We've been hearing a lot about Bright SHS. Tell us something about Bright SHS.
Thank you very much. Bright SHS was established about 14 years ago. Okay. And since we joined the sector, we have been doing tremendously well. We have been churning out very excellent results for the WASSCE examinations. Our school does not have only the SHS. We also have a basic school. We also have a diploma school, and as well as a remedial school. For the SHS, we're running almost all the subjects or the programs that are being pursued in senior high schools. We have quality teachers. We don't often employ teachers who are below the graduate level. So we have graduates here. Some of our teachers have their masters, and some also with a PhD.
Okay.
The
PhD?
Yeah.
Wow.
Apart from that, we have highly experienced teachers. These, I call them the retired class. These are teachers who have retired. And we have tried to bring them to come and support with their experience in the teaching of the various subjects. And so because of their rich experience in their respective areas, being teachers who have worked with WAEC by marking scripts for a very long time, they bring in their experience to help us set good questions for our students, to prepare very good marking scheme for our students, which we take them through during the preparation for the WASSCE. So it gives them the exposure so that they are able to perform very well in their examinations. Apart from that, realizing that mathematics is a challenge for most students, we have a special mathematics clinic where we dedicate more time for these students who are very weak. So in the end of the day, we are able to bring them up to the level of the good ones, and they are able to excel in their examinations. We also offer quality teaching. You know, the school stands for discipline. It stands for discipline and excellence. So we don't play with tuition. We make sure teachers go to class on time and they deliver as well. We also have several mechanisms that we use to check this. And because of the monitoring and the checking system that we have in place, teachers deliver well, and we make sure that the students are able also to work very hard.
Let me say I'm quite impressed by the efforts and dedication, you know, to get experienced, you know, teachers to teach these students. That's quite important. And I'm particularly impressed about how you're able to get these retired, you know, teachers who also come in, you know, to come and help with the teaching here. Is that reflective in the kind of results that you see? Because, I mean, I've been hearing a lot about Bright SHS when we came to Koforidua, to the Eastern Region. I've been hearing a lot about Bright SHS. Good results, if one good results come to Bright SHS and all of that. Is it reflective? Can you confirm to us, like, over the years, the results that you're getting? Are you satisfied? Are you fulfilled?
I will not call it fulfilled, because the standard is very high. Okay. And we want to get to the top. So we are never satisfied with whatever result we get. Our aim is to make sure we get to the top and set the pace for schools in Ghana. Okay. I would say that having experienced teachers and quality teachers count, in a sense that bringing in the kind of teachers we have, okay, help the student. You know, when our students come, after introducing them to their classrooms and going through the processes, they themselves confirm that the sort of tuition they get here is quite different from maybe the other places that they have been to. So it comes to confirm that the methodology and the approach we are using is really working for us. You know, let me tell you, learning in a normal sense, okay, it's quite different from preparing students for exams. So, in our third year, we dedicate almost all the time to the preparation of the students for exams. And this is where the experienced people who have been through the system, marking scripts for WAEC, with that vast experience, come in to teach the children the technical aspects that are involved in the marking of their scripts, what they should provide in exams and what they should not, and the way they should analyze questions before they approach solving them. All these things matter, and we make sure taking them through it offers them the space to get involved and practice and make them part of them, so that in the end of the day, when they sit in examination, no panic, no fear, and they have the confidence because they have built it over time and they are able to deliver. I also want to mention that we don't only run the SS programs.
And that's Bright Senior High School, Maxwell Agbagba, bringing us that interaction. We thank Bright Senior High School for helping us bring the coverage of the National Science and Maths Quiz to your homes and wherever that you've been following the National Science and Maths Quiz. The training is now in the Ashanti region. We'll bring you the competition in the Ashanti region. And then, of course, we'll be telling you who makes it into the 1/8 stage of the competition. Right now in the studio, let's talk about ICE Herbal Research Center. It's a leading producer of herbal medicines in Ghana with the sole aim of producing herbal medicines scientifically. My guest, Nuti Fafa Techi, is a biomedical scientist, and Peter Donyo is a chemist. So I have a biomedical scientist and a chemist in the studio. I had a National Science and Maths Quiz question. Maybe I should have reserved it for the two of you to try. But good morning to you. It's too early.
I saw the
proper science students.
I saw the more concept question there, Avogadro's constant there. I saw everything.
Hey,
one on force. We were trying to calculate force that was exerted on a particular box, and so I saw that as well.
Should I get a biology and chemistry question for you too?
As scientists, biology, physics, chemistry, we are.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Okay. I like you, man. But tell us about your company, your research institute.
Okay.
Yeah, ICE Herbal Research Center is a leading developer and producer of herbal medicines in Ghana. And our sole aim is to develop and produce herbal medicines scientifically. Okay. You see, over 80% of people living in our part of the world, the developing countries, depends on herbal medicines for their primary health care. But then people are still skeptical about herbal medicines because of its quality, efficacy, and safety. So we are in to develop herbal medicines, produce them scientifically with proven efficacy, safety, and quality.
Okay.
And it will interest you to know that most of the herbal medicines making waves in Ghana now were developed by ICE Herbal Research Center for other companies.
Okay.
But now we are in with our flagship products ourselves.
Okay. So how long have you been in existence?
About 13 years now.
Okay.
13 years now.
All right.
But we normally do develop products for other companies and beyond.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see that you brought a product onto our sets. So is this the first product that you're producing in your own name?
Yeah. This is the first product, Ganabam. Ganabam is our first flagship product. We introduced it 3 months ago, the Ghanaian domain, and it's making a lot of waves. The euphoria, the acceptance, it's just overwhelming. And it's the most powerful most potent, most efficacious deep heat balm currently in Ghana.
Okay. Can we have him explain what it's supposed to do and why you developed it?
Yeah, you know, in Ghana, as he said right now, pain, we cannot do without pain. Everything that we do goes with pain, or at the end of it, pain comes into the human body. And therefore, you cannot be continuing taking painkillers to cure your ordinary pains. The more you take the painkillers, at the end of the day, your internal organs do suffer from these painkillers. But they are plants created by nature. You know, science, we say nature, not God, right? Plant created by nature to overcome these pains from you. So Ghana Balm or Ice Herbal Research Center, we went into the forest, took the powerful tropical plants like Xanthosalium xanthosoloides, Closena anisata, Eugenia carophyta, as you can see over there, and Mentha piperata. These plants were carefully selected, and then the active ingredient in the plant, we use organic solvent to dissolve them or to extract them. And then after that, we concentrate the extract and then formulated it properly into this Ghana Balm that you have there.
Okay.
So when you apply Ghana Balm, it works. It's very, very powerful. It's very efficacious, and then it's an analgesic plant that we're used to do it. So it kills your pains away, straightforward.
So pains in what part of your body, for instance?
Good. Like we have neck pain here. We have waist pain. What the accounts will say, right? We have waposu, rheumatism, arthritis, all body pains in general. It kills it away for you.
And this is regulated. Is it? Has it got the approval from our regulatory bodies?
Yeah, you see, Ghana Balm has undergone all or various rigorous scientific analysis to establish its safety, efficacy, and quality at the Center for Plant Medicine Research, Mampong, and it was certified and approved by the Food and Drugs Authority.
Okay.
So it's safe, it's efficacious, and it's quality. You see, Mama B, what my colleague is saying is that pain is a problem, it's a global problem. CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, USA, estimates that over 40% of people in the world suffer from pains. So pain is a serious global problem, and Ice Herbal Research Center is in with a quality product to suit the pains, to ease the pains of humanity. That's our sole aim. So and we are using the best balm, which is produced scientifically. You see, Mavi, you don't pick Ghana Balm and apply it to your body.
Because I was just going to say, how do you apply it?
It's very hot.
You just wipe your hand over it, pick a little with your hand, with your finger, forefinger, and apply to wherever it's paining you.
Okay.
Wherever you feel pains, you apply it.
So do you massage it?
You just massage it a bit, just apply it there.
Okay.
It works deep down. You don't have to apply it plenty. You just apply it sparingly, a little quantity, because we've calculated the therapeutic dose to be in as little as your hand can pick. Maybe 0.5 or 0.2 grams. The therapeutic dose is in there. So you don't need to apply so much to be healed or to wipe your pains away.
Okay.
That's unique about Ghana Balm.
And then when you apply it like that, it relaxes the muscles, open up the arteries and the veins, so you get good blood circulation for oxygen and nutrient in blood, in food, get into the fatigue tissues and cells, and then at the end of the day, you become relaxed and then you are quick to go.
Me, myself, and I need one.
Maybe those who are suffering from circulation problems, they don't have blood going down their limbs very well, like diabetics and all those who have problems with circulation of blood. Ghana Balm is the best for them because it's able to relax and open up the arteries, the veins for blood to permeate all these tissues very well.
Okay.
So if you're having issues with circulation, Ghana Balm is the best for you. And you know, when you apply it to your waist, it opens up the veins and arteries there. So more blood is pulled to this part of the region. So men who are not very strong, okay, in terms of
men that are rusty in bed.
You know, if you apply it to your waist,
are you coming from a place of experience? I know you produce the product. That one is different, but what you're saying is also on a different level.
Yes.
But people are watching us from across the country.
Yeah.
Is this everywhere? Can people easily get it?
It's found everywhere. Every drugstore, Lance's chemical shop, pharmaceutical shops, herbal shops, everywhere.
If you go to Ho, Abesam is there, Joka, Vedi. You go to Gofordia, Gapson Pharmacy, or Hidden Pharmacy. You come to Accra, Ripash, we have King's Walk. We have one just here, next to your bus stop.
Okay. Where the traffic light is.
Yeah, no, just where you park your cars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's one near that
much closer.
Area. It's called Health Embassy.
Okay.
It's all over the country, all leading pharmacies and chemical shops and health shops.
Fixed price everywhere you go?
Yes, fixed price everywhere you go. The cute one, this one, that looks like Mama V. It's 5 CD.
Yeah.
And the big one, that looks like me. That's 20 Ghana. But we have 5 of these in
terms
there.
of grammage.
Oh,
this is 100 gram and this is 20 gram.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is more economical for homes. So those who are watching from home, this is for you. For mothers, for fathers, this is for you.
Okay.
Yes. Good.
All right. So, our friends are telling us about, this is Ice Herbal telling us about Ghana Bam. And this is a fixer. If you want bulk purchase, we're also trying to put your numbers out there so people can call you.
Sure.
If people want bulk purchases, where can they go to?
When you go to Ripash Ventures at Accra, Okanshi, you get, when you go to Kumasi, you have Colinak, Sam & Co, Danny Herbal, Costa Pharmacy, Adia & Co. You get it from that side too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long must you use it for the pain to either vanish or for you to begin to feel the relief?
Maybe it's instant though.
Really?
It's instant, maybe. I wish somebody's having a headache.
Let me explain something here. What Ghana Bam does is that we have a pain messenger called Substance P. Right, so when you have a problem here or at your waist, it is a Substance P that sends message to the brain. Okay, so the quantum of Substance P that goes there, the brain interprets it to the amount of pain you get. So what Ghana Bam does is that it reduces the amount of Substance P that goes into the brain. So if it's 1 million, it reduces it to about 800, 900. So you have barely a small number, a negligible amount going to the brain to interpret for.
I'm going to use the tool and I'll share my testimony.
Sure.
So I'm taking your words.
The host, the lady at Bedroom, we were there, I think, 3 weeks ago.
Diamond or Ifya?
I think it's Ifya.
Ifya, okay.
Yeah, and this morning when she saw her, she was so excited.
Oh, really?
Thank you very much.
The mother in the village is well, is happy, the waist and all that is gone.
Okay.
And we gave those at the receptionist, the reception there, and the testimony is too much.
Okay.
And when you open the phone line, when you open the people call, they're excited. They're excited.
All right. Yeah. So I'm going to just encourage my viewers to try it.
Yeah.
The next time you come on the show.
Let me chip in one. You see, we are in dangerous times now. Infections are going in and out of our nostrils, our nasals, our chest, and all that. Yeah. And people are using a lot of things for steam inhalation. Sure. People are using neem tree. People are using a lot of herbs for steam inhalation or aromatherapy. But I would recommend Ghana Bam. Just boil water, half bucket, 100 degrees Celsius. Yeah. Pick about half teaspoon, put it in, cover yourself with a thick cloth, and inhale the aroma. It takes off your cold, your flu.
We're going to try it and then we'll give you the feedback. Sure. But thank you very much for sharing with us, Ghana Bam. Yeah. Stay with us. We've got show business news with Caddy before we wrap up the show.